writing is all about communication. And probably the most important part of communication is expressing your opinion about things. So on the test for the IELTS and the TOEFL, what the graders are interested in is how well are you able to express yourself. And one of the big tasks on both of these exams is what I want to call the persuasive essay, or the way they put it, do you agree or do you disagree with this particular statement? Now, there are a few different ways that you can approach the structure of such an essay. So I want to talk about one of them in this video, the most simple one, but one that can actually get you a very high score if you do it correctly. So I want to make sure that you understand the structure and how it works and how each part kind of relates to each other, or in this case, doesn't relate to each other. So suppose the prompt is something like this. It doesn't matter how much a teacher knows. What really matters is how well they relate to students. Do you agree or do you disagree? Explain. Give examples. All right. Now, the test makers always select a prompt like this that is easy to go either way. So you can agree, there's plenty of reasons to agree, and you can disagree, and there's plenty of reasons to disagree. They really make it very fair as far as that goes. So once you figure out which ideas you can think of the most, then you can decide if you agree or disagree. It doesn't really matter what you truly believe, right? What matters is what examples can you think of to get through this essay. So if we're going to persuade by example, in this case, the structure is very simple. You start off with a thesis statement that tells the reader what your point of view is. Then you give 3 reasons, reason 1, reason 2, reason 3, and each of these reasons are not related to each other. They're completely independent. And then you simply conclude or summarize and tell them what you already said earlier, that you agree or disagree. So let's look at the example of which is more important, that a teacher knows their subject matter or that they can relate to students. Well, I sat down for like 40 seconds and tried to think of reasons to answer this debate. And in my case, I was able to think of 3 independent reasons to support the idea that what really matters is that teachers need to relate to their students. So these are the 3 reasons I came up with. Number 1, interest is 9/10 of learning. If you're not interested in something, it's really hard to learn it. So if a teacher relates well with students, most likely the students are interested in them, right? Just because anybody who seems to understand where you're coming from and seems to care about what you think is always interesting. So I'm going to listen a little bit better, right? So that's one reason. The next reason, completely separate, is that students feel relaxed. When a teacher relates well to their students, there's not as much anxiety in the classroom, right? We've all had those instructors that, you never know what they're going to do, if they're going to give you a quiz or if they care or what's going on. They just do whatever they do and they're into power and they don't care about you. Well, when you're upset and nervous, you don't learn very well, right? So being relaxed helps students learn better. And then my last example is that when a teacher relates to their students, students tend to be active. They tend to raise their hand, ask questions. They might even do assignments that are not necessary or actually do research on their own that is not part of the assignment because they're interested and they want to learn more, and it makes you, how shall I say, you feel more confident when a teacher relates to you and is not all about power. It makes the students feel as if they can actually contribute something. So they become active and they become engaged, and therefore they learn better. All right, so those are my 3 reasons. Interest is 9/10 of learning. Being relaxed helps you learn. And if a teacher relates well to students, students are more likely to become engaged. Then my conclusion is simply, it's more important that teachers relate well to their students. So this is a simple example of a basic structure where I start by saying what I'm going to say. I give 3 independent reasons that don't stack or rely on each other. They're just completely separate. And then my conclusion. All right. Thanks so much, and I'll see you in the next lecture.